And we are live. Welcome, everyone, for joining us today on this wonderful Tuesday afternoon. We are so excited that you're here. We have some wonderful guests, actually, a lot more than we normally have. So that's very exciting. And Mandy is going to be asking about different deals that Stacy, Ja'el, and Michael have all been a part of recently. So if you are so brave and would like to ask any questions that you might have about these recent deals, or maybe how you can interact with these leaders in the SubTo community, feel free to drop a comment and I will bring that up to the stage so that our guests can answer that. In the meantime, I will be backstage, but I will be in the comments, so feel free to ask me any questions as well, and I will get to them as they come in. Thank you so much for being here. Mandy, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. I'm so happy to have you guys here. I've been reading a little bit of your notes, but I didn't want to spoil the surprise, so I'm kind of going in. You guys can give us a little bit of your story. I'm Mandy Konecki. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. I have been in SubTo for 3 years, also in Gator Owners Club, and I'm in TC, but I'm not active, but that was just something I wanted to get a background of. So we have probably crossed paths at some point, but I'm excited to get to see more of you guys and hear your story. So we want to start with Stacy and is it Ja'el?
It's Ja'el.
Ja'el. Your story that you're sharing with us here was a wholesale deal?
Yes, it was.
Was it your first one?
No, we've done quite a few deals. This was our biggest one thus far, and we got to accomplish it with our team and many, many SubTo members. My mom is the regional leader for the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area.
Okay, mother-daughter. I love that. I didn't know that at the beginning.
So young.
Yeah, like sisters.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mandy. You get a lot of brownie points, trust me.
So where did the deal come from? How did you guys find it?
Well, actually, we live in Alexandria, Virginia, and we were looking at deals, in our backyard. We have, a lot of boots on the ground here, and it was a pre-foreclosure, and that's primarily what we do is help people out of pre-foreclosure. And it just fell into our lap from one of our great team members that was like, hey, I'm great at finding stuff, but I don't like doing the other parts. So we wholeheartedly believe that everybody should do the things that they love to do so that it keeps it fun and exciting.
And I wanted to give him a shout out, Mandy, actually. His name is Paul Georgia. He door knocks. And we had quite a bit of conversation about that because that takes special kind of people. And I'm not that girl, okay? So I was like, Paul, I am so proud of you. The people love him because you never know what you're going to get when you knock on somebody's door. But he knocked this door, and this lady was so happy that Paul knocked on her door that day. And it's just an amazing story.
That is amazing because typically it does take a special person because you get a lot of doors slammed in your face,
yes,
a lot of ugly words, but it just
yes,
takes the one person who's appreciative and you can help.
Oh my God,
that makes it all fulfilling.
Yes.
How cool! So is this person or is Paul on your team?
Yes, he's a strategic partner. Of course, he's free to do deals without us, but when he has something that he wants to work on together, we want to do deals with as many community members and newbies in real estate as possible. So that's our goal. We'll help anybody get to the finish line, and that's what we love to do. That's what it's all about, because somebody helped us when we first started.
Yeah, we've been in SubTo since the end of 2021. We love this community. We love Pace and his family and what he's created for everybody. We hang out with him all the time. I told him we're going to put the DMV on the map, and he's been coming more often. And so we really love that. It's all about community. It's all about the shadow of the leader. So what he's created, we're just trying to make sure that we do the same thing here in this region and embrace people that are not even part of the community, to make sure that we can help as many people as possible.
I love that. Yeah, it's the trickle-down effect.
Yes.
Which I'm so grateful we're all in this community too, because we just look each other and want everyone to succeed.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about the numbers. I know this one was juicy.
It was single family home, resale value, and please don't quote me, guys. It's been a little bit of a few months since we did it, but about 355, and she only had about 150 left on the mortgage, and she was like, I don't want anything, you can take the rest. So we made $160,000 spread on the wholesale deal for a traditional single family home. Wow. And we shared it all with our team. Everybody that is a part of the deal, we make sure that they're compensated, and we just work together. We want to do quantity and make sure that we're delivering quality, so that takes a team.
Yeah. And the person that brings the deal gets to dictate what they actually want to do with it. I love the collaboration. I love that, it's about community and sharing, and people that didn't even have an opportunity to do their first deal was compensated for being part of this deal. And that was the best part, in addition to helping this seller out of a difficult situation, seeing everybody that had an opportunity to touch it and feel it, get compensated, and see the impact that this community is making on so many people's lives.
Right.
So the numbers worked for wholesale or fix and flip. I am actually a real estate agent here in the Maryland and Virginia area, and the flip would have been completed in December, a very uncertain month. And we were like, you know what? We have so many investors that have been begging us for great deals, and we're really big on having good numbers so that when we do have something, it flies off the shelf. Within the first few hours, we had about 15 showings, and then within 6 days, the deal closed.
Wow. I was just going to ask if you held it, so that's amazing.
Yes.
We do have creative buy and hold, but we didn't hold this one.
Yeah. And Mandy, again, Ja'el is the numbers girl. I'm not that girl. I'm the relationship builder, the mother, the auntie, your sister, your best friend, helping you, whatever you need. But numbers, that's her lane.
That's amazing. And then did they flip it, the person that bought it from you?
Yes, they did. And they were able to sell it, but it did sit on the market for about 3 months, and they had to do a couple price drops. So, I mean, when you think about all that can go wrong in the meantime with the contractors work, and we were able to get that amount in six days, we had to kind of compare, we can do more deals in the meantime instead of focusing on flipping this and, find some things that we haven't foreseen.
And I also want to add, Mandy, that this was a team effort. Ja'el and I had several people on our team that we had conversations with. We did a lot of brainstorming. What's the best fit? What's the best number? What's the best strategy? And I'm telling you, you learn so much. People feel so valued, and 2, 3, 4, 5 heads are better than one. Always, every day, all day.
Yeah. And it's great to have options and different exit strategies where you're not just buying it for one direction.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Pace says we cannot do this business by ourselves. And I completely agree. 100%.
Yeah. That's why we're all here.
Yes.
I mean, we have Florida, Virginia, New Mexico.
Wow.
And it all feels like we're in the same coffee shop.
Yes.
Michael, I can't wait to hear about your market. I don't know anything about New Mexico.
Yeah, we get that a lot. But it's all good.
Is there anything else you guys wanted to share on that one?
We wanted to say that basically everybody that was a part of the deal was in SubTo and top tier TC. We wholeheartedly believe in making sure that we bring in as many community members as possible, as well as helping newbies that may not be in the community yet get deals done. So yeah,
that's awesome. Super energizing.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations. That is a super solid win.
Thank you.
All right, Michael.
Yes, hello.
Hello. I see you're in New Mexico. Wow, scared him away.
He'll be back, Mandy. He'll be back.
Beautiful ladies here.
I got thrown out. All right, am I back? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Do you have internet?
Yes, I am. I'm in a flip. I had to stay here today. Usually I have better internet, but I'm in a flip right now that I had to be here, and I was like, I don't want to miss the show. So I hope everything goes good. I apologize if it's a little bit in and out.
That's awesome. Well, what a cool story.
Yeah,
That's also
absolutely.
super cool about this job career that we're all in, is that we just step out and do those kind of things. So
Exactly.
your kitchen's really nice if that's the background.
Yeah, this is the background. I'm sitting in one. We have 3 within like a 5-minute radius that are all going on right now. Like I have a manufactured home being delivered down the road that I was like arguing with the neighbors because I had to take their fence down. And then
Oh no.
Michael is busy. 3 flips going on in one vicinity.
And the story's getting really good.
Right? That is funny.
He's coming.
I'm so sorry. I don't know why it's kicking out. It stayed on the whole time I wasn't talking. But yeah, a lot going on up here, and that's why I'm kind of stationed wherever I was sitting at. That's where I turned on the computer.
Perfect. Well, what communities are you in?
I'm in SubTo. I've been in SubTo for about 2 years. That's the only one. My network with a bunch of Gators, bunch of Astro Flippers, and those are my main ones that I network with over here in New Mexico.
Resources. Amazing. Do you want to give us some background on your deal that we're highlighting today?
Sure. So we purchased a duplex, and the reason we found it or went after it, it's directly across the street from a 7-unit property that we had purchased a few years prior. So we took an abandoned office space warehouse and we turned it into 7 luxury multifamily units. And so we have these huge storefronts, amazing properties performing great. Directly across the street, there was this super cute duplex that we always had our eye on. And it started just completely going downhill, being mismanaged. They bring in some horrible tenants and they started overtaking like one guy in particular. He was like hoarding. He started hoarding on his property, the other duplex property, the roof behind. So, we were more reaching out to property management to see what they were going to do about it because it was in direct view of all of our beautiful apartments, right? So when we reached out to them, it was another investor, and he said, basically, this is like a side gig for me. I have this many units downtown. I have this project going. I can't handle this one, but I won't let it go without this price. Like I still got to make my investment. Yep. So we said, well, are you going to evict this guy? Are you going to do something about this? Like, what are you? And he said, I'm not going to do anything. If you guys want it and can make it work, let's put something together. His numbers were really high and wouldn't work for us to cash flow. So then, we came in with a creative solution and we basically did a Morby method on it. And it was a buy and hold for us, got the tenant out, cleaned it up a little bit and got new tenants into both of them. Cash flow is like $1,200 a month for us between the 2 of them right now. And so it was a perfect deal because it helped maintain the integrity of our property next door and then got us more doors as well, which was awesome, all right next to each other.
Awesome.
And he's winning because he doesn't have to take care of that either.
Exactly.
Some of the people that are listening, can you explain the definition of a Morby method and exactly how you did it? So if people might not know exactly what that is.
Absolutely. So it was the purchase price he wanted was about $415,000, and that wouldn't cash flow for us with going and getting traditional debt. Plus, we were going to bring way more to the table than we wanted. We were just doing a traditional DSCR loan, and they wanted about $140,000 down for $415,000 loan, which was, our payback period on that was going to be just not any good at all. So we went in and purchased it. We gave them the $140,000. That was our personal financing. We didn't use a gator on that. But then the next day, the seller kicked us back a promissory note in second position for $115,000 of that with 0% interest. So we're paying principal on that only. So then that took our blended rate, right? Like we have a 7.5% interest rate, but with his $115,000 note at 0%, we end up getting down to like a little bit below 5% on our interest overall. And so that's the only way we can make it cash flow. So we get the seller the price he wants, and we get a good cash flowing property. And now we've already increased the value. I think whenever we ran it against the cap rate, we're up to like close to 600 on that property that it's worth, like around 575.
Yeah, that was a quick appreciation too.
Mm-hmm.
It's only because of our property next door, right? Because we can wrap it into, when we refinance the one next door, we're allowed to wrap that duplex in there and it'll be a commercial loan instead of a single family loan. So they can appraise it based off of, commercial instead of appraisals, next door and everything like that. And because we're getting the rents we are, right, we knew we were the only person that could happen to. Any other buyer that came and brought that duplex would not get that advantage. But for us, my wife kept saying, we're paying way too much. I said, you don't understand. We are not paying way too much. We're going to knock this thing out of the park. And now that she's getting the cash flow, she's like, yes, absolutely. You know, now she's usually with me on all the podcasts, but she's also my agent. She's doing the listings and everything right now on all these properties. And so it's like, no, you can't be on the podcast. You got to finish these listings. And I'll jump on into
that's a great problem to have, honestly. But Michael, how do you guys run the numbers for the Morby method? We haven't done one yet. How do you like crunch them to make sure that it's going to work out in the end?
So it's basically, I mean, you just add your DSCR loan to it, right? And see what your mortgage is going to be on that against your rents. And then you have to try to come up with a way to structure the rest of it. The DSCR is just a standalone. Those numbers aren't going to move. That's going to be what the bank gives you. But the seller portion of the 115, you know, I run numbers. I use Pace's, you know, advice all the time. I'm not going to, I could do a 30-year mortgage. I could do a 35. I could do a 39.25, whatever it takes to make it cash flow, right? And because when I submitted the 0%, he was so happy about the purchase price, he didn't say anything about the 0% interest at all, right? And that, there was no, I didn't have to haggle after that. He just wanted that price, and that was that. And now he's getting, you know, $400 a month, whatever, in his pocket without having to worry about this property. He didn't have to evict the guy. He didn't have to do any of that. We did that. Luckily, it went great, right? We had underwrote for like 6 months of just horrible, you know, trying to get this guy out. And when we said we wouldn't start closing process until he was delivered the eviction letter that he broke his lease, because he was month to month. So that gave us 30 days up front for the process to start before we even purchased. And on the day we closed, he had all of his stuff out, like he was gone. So that was a beautiful surprise, right? That we weren't expecting. And allowed us to just get right into it right away and get that unit filled with great tenants. I mean, I visited the property last week. Great tenants. They don't look like they're ever going to leave. It has like a backyard for their dog, and they have all their stuff. I was like, these people are set up. They're not going anywhere. I'm like, great. You guys don't have to leave for like 10 years if you don't want to.
Also, I wanted to ask, Woody, do you guys do your own property management?
Yes, we have property management in-house. So we do acquisitions. We don't have enough time for wholesaling. So we're always networking with wholesalers because I don't have time to track down stuff. So we have our construction company in-house. We do acquisitions in-house, but mostly through wholesalers. And then we property manage on the back end. So we fix and flip for our capital to purchase multifamily and commercial properties. Those are our holds. We don't hold any single family anymore. And we just stick to the multifamily or commercial. We have a commercial office space. So now we have 3 properties on that same street. We're looking at an 8-plex on that street and then another 22 unit on that street. And,
what's going on this street? Please.
You know what he's doing. He is pushing up that value so high.
Exactly.
No point to buy anywhere else.
Exactly. This street is like a really popular street in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's called Nob Hill. It's old. It looks beat down, but then they're bringing up new shops, new restaurants, new bars, and it's right next to the main university. So you have a lot of professionals on one side from Sandia National Labs. And then, you know, we're the number 2 filming state in the country right now, or number 3, I think. Behind LA and Atlanta, New Mexico is next. So we have a lot of Netflix. Netflix just did like another $5 billion studio a few minutes away from our house. And then Google Studios is in, Amazon Prime Studios is in, all these things. So we do have like these luxury units that aren't typical in our area. Like we don't have a lot of cool stuff like big cities. Like you go to Houston, Dallas, everywhere they have these huge things, but we make ours look like that. And when people are coming in from California, ours stands out a little bit. But we property manage in-house too, and because there's not very many property managers in our city at all. So we took that under our wing and take control of our assets because we want to make sure we hold on to those.
We do the same thing. That's in-house.
Awesome.
Nobody cares about your stuff as much as you do.
No.
Always the truth. Yeah. That's amazing. What a great story. I love that you're just taking over the whole city.
Oh, that's the plan. And it's all with SubTo New Mexico. Like we love it over here, but we don't have a big presence. New Mexico, as you guys know, you don't see us popping up in the SubTo like crazy, but we're changing that. We had started a bunch of meetups, me and my wife. And then at the beginning of the year, last year, we passed it over to Jacob Tapia, and he's been able to do a lot more because, like I said, we're not the wholesalers. We're not in ads and everything in front of everybody. He's a lot better at that. We let him run the group, and he's doing an amazing job. And we're gonna make New Mexico known. Like we're growing.
So, yes, that's awesome.
That's excellent, Michael. I'm thinking about having a conversation with you to invest with you guys.
Right.
I would love it. I love talking to everybody in SubTo.
Private lender, so let's write up her alley in the PMP, private partners.
That's great. We're always looking for that stuff. As always, we want to do as many deals as possible, but we take care of our private money people. We're not new to the game. We know how to protect our people. So
yeah,
it was funny because we were just talking about pivoting to multifamily units to do our basically rent by the room affordable housing. We have single families that we're already doing that with, but the part of how you did the Morby method, that was so helpful. It's gonna, me and my underwriter, Jamesh, she's gonna go crazy for this.
The best part about the Morby method or the seller financing piece, like he was saying, the DSCR is already, it's pretty stagnant. It's is what it is. You can customize whatever the seller financing is. So if you run your numbers and you only have $200 worth of room right there, you can offer them $200. It doesn't have to be $1,200 of this and different balloons, which we all agree we don't want to offer balloons unless
don't
they're
offer
forced.
any balloons.
But also turning that loan into a commercial loan, which then makes it an even sweeter deal. And we already know the CapEx and all of those things make the value so much higher. That's why we're like, we already own multifamily, but we want to do it creatively as well.
Yes.
Well, I believe the commercial loan law is anywhere within 25 miles of one property. So a circumference of 25 miles, you could wrap multiple properties together, even if they're one-off single families. As long as they're within a 25-mile radius of each other, you could package 5 together and turn it to a commercial loan and do it off the cap rates and the rents instead of a traditional single family.
Yes, I love that.
So Joseph popped up a question here a little bit ago, and he was asking what was a good cash flow, $500 per month, $1,000 per month, etc. I know that varies, but does anybody specifically want to answer that question?
So basically, since we do rent by the room as well as midterm rental, one property that we have has cash flowed $8,200 a month as an MTR. And another one that we have is our minimum is $500 because we know we're going to raise the rents every single month. But I mean, it can be a huge spread. So it's totally up to Joseph. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, from what we've seen from our friends that do large multifamily, some of them in affordable housing are looking for like $150 a door to $350 a door. They consider that good. We go a little bit more luxury. We look for class A. Our 7 units is cash flowing $10,000 a month to us, but only because property management in-house, we built the whole thing brand new. We don't have any maintenance. It's not going to stay like that forever. I'm sure we haven't got the tax increase yet, which has just been laying low below the radar. Like my city doesn't know what to do with this place because they still think it's an office. We did all the things. We went through all the permitting. We sent in all the documents. We redid it, but they're still like, what is this place? They don't even know what it is. So that's been helping us. But I think, if you're trying to do like those 200, 300 unit complexes, you're going to be sitting $150 to $350 a door. But if you're doing more niche stuff, especially MTRs, right, you could push that up. But it depends on what Joseph's trying to do.
Yeah, and I agree. It depends on the individual and what you're trying to do. That MTR, the highest that we've gotten on that so far is $11,000 per month. So I mean, it just depends on the individual and also the location. So he really
you bought it creatively. So with 4% PA loan, so that helps.
Yeah.
But I think
if you
it was
do it creatively, you should get way better cash flow.
Absolutely. The taxes will go up, and people have to account for that. Ours, one of them that we bought, the taxes went up within 3 months closing on it. So.
When we underwrite, we're always taking that into account. It's such a good point. So many people get caught on using the taxes that they're buying it at. And once you increase the value or your purchase price or anything like that, the taxes will go up. But if you purchase it creatively as well, or if you're doing real estate contracts, it's not as much on the radar depending on how you structure it, right? Like you got to be looking at everything. So when you're doing your purchase agreement and all kinds of other things, there's also ways to not show the overall purchase price. If you're doing that, if you're doing some promissory notes off to the side, why would I include that of the purchase price? If I'm able to just do that directly with the person and then lean it on the property afterwards, then my purchase price looks like it's $300 instead of $415. And then that helps with my taxes too, whenever they're looking at that.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah, when I'm looking at cash flow, all my properties are different. We have short-term, mid-term, and long-term. Some of them I've just bought simply for the pay down, the appreciation later. I'm making $100, $200. Some of them, one of them was a beach condo. I got into it with zero of my own money. I might cash flow on that. I don't really care if I'm cash flowing on it. I'm going to have a beach condo for the rest of my life. So I don't care if it's anybody. And then the other one I bought as a short-term rental, and I bought it 4 or 5 years ago, have a great rate, tons of equity, and that one brings in about $5,000 a month. So each one is customizable. It just depends on the deal and the time and what your purpose is for buying it.
Mandy, what do you have to do for property management since you have properties that are like in different sectors? Do you have to hire out different companies, or have you found a one-stop shop?
Founder. We all do it in-house. I know. I was like, well, I keep talking about it, but I'm like, it's so expensive. And again, no one cares like you do. And my husband does, same with Michael, like he does all the construction work and all the maintenance and that. And we have an in-house TC and an in-house executive assistant. And my cleaning crews are great. I'm like, it just doesn't really make sense to pay to outsource it if we're going to be doing that too. Yeah. And then the idea is to keep growing. So then you just put more under your belt and build it out. Logan is looking to sell some of his rentals in Suffolk, Virginia, if anybody's interested.
Hey, Logan.
I think we have an interested party here.
Absolutely. We'd love to talk through it. Come up with creative strategies first, see what works best. That's one thing I love to look at is all of the different ways you can get paid out on it first, and then give the person the best advice. It's not always listing it on the market. So we'd love to chop it up with you, Logan.
Yeah. That would be super cool if you guys did a deal out of this.
For sure.
Yeah. Garrett has a seller who wants to sell SubTo, but their lender said they couldn't because they have an FHA loan and they are using the FHA loan again, and they are not moving more than 100 miles. Is anybody familiar with FHA? That's a first time.
New Mexico, we run into that a lot. Like it's very stringent here. Is one of the reasons people from SubTo kind of stay away from New Mexico too. FHA, for about a year and a half, we could not crack that any title company here would close on that with the FHA loan. But there is one in theory that somebody's been floating around lately that we think we found a title company that will work with us. But as far as the FHA, from my experience, we ran into problems trying to do a SubTo on those every single time. But that's just specific to New Mexico, so I'm not sure their market.
Was that title company that you found creative title and escrow?
Not yet. No, we've been waiting for that. We don't know if it's in New Mexico. I've been like tracking and seeing, okay, can we do that here yet? But not yet.
I'm not sure.
Please will make it happen.
I
know. I don't have any advice for that. I was under the understanding that a first-time home FHA loan was a one-time thing. I didn't know that you could actually refi for that and buy houses with that.
FHA is a government-backed loan, so you can use that at any time. The first-time home buyer is like an incentive you get on, deductions at closing for doing that the first time. But anybody can use an FHA. It's going to depend on your debt to income, all of those factors, and how much income you're bringing in. They are the hardest loans to close on anything with because they're so stringent. You have to get so many inspections. Every little thing has to be fixed. So people do stay away from them, but I'm sure there's a way to get it done.
Yeah. I mean, especially if they don't need to use that for their next house. And then if they're going to be buying a house after 12 months, and then you can have a lease agreement that shows that house is bringing in income. So it balances out the debt to income. Yeah. But if they're trying to SubTo their current house and then immediately go buy another one,
that might be tough.
Yeah, maybe just a different loan product.
Yeah.
And if they think they're going to get, because like you said, the first-time home buyer, the FHA you could use over and over again, but I think the first-time home buyer is the only one that you get that super low down payment. I don't think that rolls over to the next one where they give you like that 3% down. I think that's just the first-time home buyer, but then the FHA, like Ja'el said, is that you could reuse that over and over again. You could keep doing that.
Well, Brian has a similar question, but it's relating to the VA loans and losing his benefits, which I can Google. Somebody can Google it, but there is entitlement.
Mhm.
So if he's not using his entire entitlement, you can, subject to that VA loan, and he still has the ability to go out and use the rest of his VA loan minus whatever the entitlement is. But
100%.
so
Yeah, and depending
on what those
And-
numbers look like.
And then we'll also be paying down the mortgage. So the mortgage pay down, depending on how quickly they need to move, will factor into that.
Mm-hmm.
and depending what state he's in, right? If you look up that list, it'll tell you exactly what the entitlement is. And if there's still some left, I mean, they could use that. There's a lot of cool ways to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, VA ones are great.
Awesome. They are.
Recent one that I just did a creative one, and it was a hybrid. I bought their VA loan subject to, and then they seller financed me the same percent, 50% of, they matched that. And then my private money lender brought my down payment and furnishing money.
Wow.
Nice.
Amazing.
They completely understood the process. I didn't have to sell it on them or explain it. I was like, this is what I can do. And they said, okay, when do you want to close?
Wow.
When you do a lot of deals, you get easy ones like that. Like our big one that we did, people don't know all the other ones that we've had to go through that are so hard to struggle. You get those wins when you're consistent, persistent, and doing a lot of things for people. So
Definitely. I know. So when we get those wins, it's like, wow, this
an easy one.
All right, let's see. Does anybody else have? All right. Does anybody else have any questions out there? Whoever's tuning into here, take advantage of this wealth knowledge out here. Got a lot of powerhouses.
I can't wait to do deals with you guys.
Really?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, let's set that
Yes.
This is so fun. I used to go to New Mexico a lot when I had a W-2. I never stayed very long, but now I wish I would have researched and come out and saw where you guys are at and what you're doing down there. It's way more exciting.
Anybody's welcome to come anytime. I mean, all of our flips are always open. Our properties are always open. We love having people through them. We love going through our numbers, right? Being transparent, showing everybody lessons learned on everything, whether it's fix and flip, multifamily, any of the above. My wife's, she just started being a realtor, but all of her investor experience for the last 7 years, she's blowing realtors out of the water, and she's having to start giving advice to them because it's like,
Yes.
they don't know.
Well, I would be shocked if you guys weren't all over social media because you have to be sharing these stories. So I'd love everybody to let the audience know how we can follow you and get in touch with you guys so we can all do deals together.
Sure, I'll go first. You guys can see my phone number there. I know that's a little risky, but that's still how we're rolling right now. But also email is the best way to get at me, michael@mtinm.com. And that's our company management. That is New Mexico. So michael@mtinm.com. If you reach out, we love to network. We love to learn. We love to share. We love to teach. So reach out anytime. And if you're in New Mexico, you have a place to stay. So come on out.
I will be there very soon.
All right.
Before we finish,
Stacey.
I want to say that Ronnie is looking for some help putting an 8-unit together. If you guys can see that, I thought Michael might be interested in this. I'm not sure where it's at. Gotta get some help with the deal. I don't know how to put it together. Whereas offer 8-unit completely filled, offer $400,000 under contract. The appraisal came back at $285,000, and the lender will only lend $200,000. He's looking for someone to explain seller finance, both to agents and seller, to put the deal together for a fee.
Where is it at, Ronnie? Would you be able to put that in there? What part of
Detroit, Michigan?
Detroit, Michigan. All right.
Yeah,
I'll help out as much as I can. It's always good to get somebody from there, like right in your area, that can understand.
I talk to a lot of agents for people and explain creative. That's one of my gifts, is to teach and do it in a simplified way. And usually we can close them out by just having the conversation, getting them to understand. So I think you crunching the numbers, since it's a multifamily, helping on that end, I wouldn't mind making the call and kind of interacting with the agents.
That's awesome.
And just advice on your numbers. Sorry. On the numbers, the 400K, if the appraisal only came at 285, that means the rents aren't where they need to be. So you have to look at if that's just something that you can raise the rents, how much work is it going to need to do that? But if the rents can't really be raised, then it's not worth 400. But of course, if you give them some amazing seller finance terms, if he gives you those, maybe you could make it work. But if the appraiser saying it came back on an 8-unit, they're just running specifically off the numbers, and it'd be hard to get up to 400 unless you're doing a lot on those rents. So watch out for that whenever you're doing your underwriting.
The other thing is you're under contract. I want you to thoroughly read your contract about the appraisal contingency in there, as well as the earnest money. So if it's a timeline, you got to get back and renegotiate within that window and get it done, or you need to cancel that contract, or you can lose your earnest money and still be held liable to close on this property. So biggie right there. Make sure you read through every single line of every single contract we ever sign.
Yep. And you can always fight appraisals too. Appraisers do vary so much. You can have one come out and say 100,000 and one come out and say 300,000. So if you feel like there's value in that, you can push back and run your own comps and bring them to the table and say, this is what I came back with. Can we do another appraisal? See if that helps at all. And then maybe your seller will renegotiate with you also, because if they don't want to do seller financing, they're not going to be able to find someone else to buy that either.
Right.
That's what it comes to when it comes with traditional financing. So you can always use that spin that it's not you holding it up, it's the appraiser. So if they want to sell it, they can do some seller financing and move the property.
Yeah.
That's a great point, Mandy. Just like we say, all real estate agents aren't created equal, neither are all appraisers. But I'm so grateful that we have our unicorn agents within this community, because like Ja'el said, she's one of those agents, and that has been so helpful when we're reaching out to other agents that have no idea how to do anything creative.
It's also great that my parents were investors before I ever became an agent. So I only want to work with investors and just keeping it real with people instead of inflating numbers and all of that stuff to get a sale. I'm not saying that all
business.
We do see it a lot. And I think working with investors brings a lot more business, and it's very consistent. And they're big on numbers. They're not too emotional.
And Mandy and Michael, people are always asking, are both of you guys agents? I was like, hell no. I never want to be an agent. Okay?
Exactly. I'm in the same boat. I don't ever want to be an agent.
You see what your wife goes through, even though she's crushing it. It's just like sometimes like, oh man. But you guys kept it in-house. So I think that's a big takeaway from today. How we're keeping things in the family, trying to make our business as linear as possible, and keeping as much, to our inside of what we're doing in our networks. So
for sure.
All of us are doing that. So
yeah, my oldest daughter is an agent as well. She does the property management piece, which I love. So
yeah. And she has an accountant background, so she knows how to keep the books and all of that. She's phenomenal, and it's a family thing, It's nothing better than that.
It all
I agree. Yeah, everybody that's willing to work hard, because there's a lot of talk on all of the YouTube and everything, passive. Me and my wife haven't found anything that's passive yet. All right. It's all very non-passive income, but we're killing it. So for everybody that's listening out there is going to be some passive stuff if you already have money. If you don't, and you're just trying to be a passive person, get to work. You'll get there. I mean, that's where we're headed at some point on some day, but get in there, keep everything in house, and you'll yield a lot more margins on everything you're doing if it's in house. Because like Mandy said, no one cares as much as you. And it is, once you experience it, she's absolutely spot on. It's crazy. No one even cares even close to what you do whenever it's your properties.
But also, I just want to commend everybody, because without taking action, guys, none of this is possible. None of it.
Yeah, it's a grind. But if you find your friends and your family in here and the communities and start networking, the grind becomes a hobby.
Yes.
It's like fun. We're like, we to do this, we get to come out here and talk about these things.
Somebody's already been through what you're probably going to go through and can give you some advice to stop you from doing it. So that's the best part.
Yeah, we're all here for the story.
Yeah.
There's one more question here that I want to grab before we finish how to connect with you ladies. Joseph was asking how exactly pad split works and what market conditions make this a good strategy. And Ja'el, I know you mentioned that you rent by the room on a couple of your properties. So if you wanted to take that one.
I hope people don't get upset with me, but we don't do it via pad split because we have in-house management. We know there's several different rent by the room strategies: military housing, student housing, crash pads for pilots. You don't have to go through crash pad, but you can. But again, your numbers are going to be crunched really, really hard. You're going to have a big spread to make it work, and they don't fully manage your property. They just get the people in and out. So I think that's important to note. And you're going to have to account for furnishings, all of those things, a lot of things you have to look at when you're underwriting for crash pads. I mean, pad splits, your research.
And I will say for some people though, that pad split works for them. For others, it doesn't. I mean, and they have, increased their numbers quite a bit, but still, it depends on what works best for you.
Also, we looked at the markets that we were thinking about doing it in, and we want to see if the houses are completely booked. So you need to account for what if your property isn't 100% occupied. You have to account for vacancy, and is it going to be underwater, or are you still cash flowing?
And as far as where you could look for them, like on each street or like part of your area that you're working, we don't do them, but we passed a bunch along to our friends that do. And it's going to be on those houses on the streets that you have median income for your area, like median price housing. But then there's one big house, if they're selling for 300 on that street and there's a $500,000 house on that street because it's twice as big as everything else, no one's going to buy that house, and that seller's going to be in a bind because if they have 500, they're going to go to another part of the city where they could get a nicer house off of that block. But the shared living is amazing for that particular thing. So if you're looking on those streets and then you see from even aerial view, you see all the same exact houses, and there'll be one that's bigger. And if that one's been on the market for a long time, that might be a method to take those down for sure.
That's how we found our one of our rent by the rooms, because they couldn't sell it for the price they needed. It would have been the highest sale on the street, and it was just sitting.
Exactly. Yep. The pad split is just a platform. I say it's just like Airbnb.
Yes.
Airbnb is the name, but there's so many other short-term rental ways to do it, whether it's direct booking, VRBO, Expedia, etc. So pad split does have a lot of fees, but they take care of the marketing. They're not doing everything else. They're marketing your rooms for you. Like Airbnb is for vacations. Different markets. I would say right now we're in a good market for that because people can't afford their housing. They don't want to move back in with mom and dad. People are going back to the roommate style. Maybe they're living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have to put a down payment on a house that they have an extra $1,500 to pay the first month's rent and deposit, or they're in transient with a couple in between jobs or in between houses waiting for that. But typically the areas you want to look in are places that are close to public transportation. Jobs.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, ladies, how do we get in touch with you guys? How can people follow you and work with you?
So we do have our company that's nationwide, helping sellers, buyers, doing multifamily, which is Eminent Estates. You can find us on Instagram as well as YouTube. And you can find me on any platform under Ja'el Thomas, TikTok, IG, YouTube. Please subscribe if you can. And Mom, I'll let you take yours away.
Yeah, I'm a little older, although you guys see that I have my IG handle there. And so I prefer Facebook, but because of the business, we do have to market it and let people know what we're doing and that we are here to help them. So you can find me on IG or Facebook.
Awesome. Well, I will definitely be following you guys. This was super fun. I look forward to meeting you in person and working together.
Same here.
That's great.
Awesome.
Yes, great work, y'all. I feel like no question went unanswered in today's live. So thank you so much for taking the time to answer all of these like really in-depth like questions. They were really, really great. You could tell people were paying attention and really wanted to get as much value as they could out of today. So if everybody watching today could give some love to Stacy, Mandy, Michael, and Ja'el. I'm so sorry if I butchered your name. Because they took their hard-earned time and spent it with you today, giving you a lot of information about what's going on in the real estate market. So just really appreciate y'all coming on and kind of inspiring people to take that consistent action. That's so, so important in this position. Like you were saying, it is not a cakewalk by any means, but it is so worth it. So I noticed also somebody in the comments was saying that they saw some of you at Squat Up. So I was just curious if anybody else is going to Squat Up this year.
Absolutely.
You know it.
Can't miss it. Can't
Yeah,
miss
absolutely.
it.
And I make a vlog every time. So if I see you guys there, I'm gonna be like, shout yourself out and tell me what you do.
I love that. Coming in with a plan. That is the best way to attend this event. So
Yeah.
for those of you who don't know what Squat Up Summit is, it's kind of a massive networking event for people that are in the real estate space, especially those that are in PACE's communities, SubTo, Top Tier TC, the Gator community. So if you're interested and want to join us in Texas, I just dropped the link for the Squat Up Summit website. You can check that out and hope to see you all there.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you again so much. I will let everyone have a wonderful rest of their Tuesday, and we'll see you on Friday.
Thank you,
Peace.
Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Bye.
Wow.